Hey everybody, this is Kenny with another edition of the Yak with MAC riding solo this week. What's your reputation? What do others really think of you? Have you made some mistakes in the past that you're trying to live and get past? Listen in, we'll talk about it. Hey there everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Yak with MAC. This is Kenny riding solo. I think that's a song, right? But I'm back and I can't wait to drop some knowledge on you. And leaders, this is the place we still want you to come. This is the place where I'm going to inspire you, and the guests I have that are going to inspire you, we're going to encourage the heck out of you. And we just want you to go back to your teams and be spectacular influencers and leaders. Again, second half of 2021 coming up. Can you believe that? It's hard for me to believe, but it's time to raise your level, right? Yeah, you had probably a really good, a really strong, a really solid first half. Maybe you got impacted and you got moved somewhere. Talked a few weeks ago about the art of reinvention. We've talked about change a lot. So this is the time to really now rise up, because if you're now in a new place, you could start anew. You could start fresh. Nobody knows your name. Nobody knows you, right? But they might know something about you that I want to talk about today, and that is your reputation. I'm going to come right back to that in 1 second, but leaders, remember, 15 minutes a day at least, now more than ever. It is so vital that you do those things on your own. That's going to help your career. It's an article that I came across, and I'm very purposeful on it. It's from a website called Candid Cultures. Very purposeful on feeding myself every single day with something leadership related. I want you to be the same. Guest after guest after guest that I've had, whether it's Terrence Glover, Matt Chappell, Aaron Lee from a few weeks ago, from last week actually, all talk specifically about the things they do to continue to enhance their skill set and to continue to develop themselves. So those are all successful leaders. I want the same for you. Okay, what's your reputation? I'm going to start with a little bit of a story. Several years ago, I had a really good friend who had went for a couple of job positions. I would say it's a he. He went for 3 specific job positions over the course of about 4 months, 5 months. And he didn't get a ton of feedback as to why he didn't get these positions. And he was really puzzled because he built a good business plan. He had had success in his current position for the last year or so. He had a great interview. He knew it. He nailed the questions. He was very prepared. Seemed to me like he was ready to step into these specific roles. 2 of them were the same role. 1 was a different role. But it seemed like he was ready to step in to these roles. And I happened to be part of his alert circle. Remember I talked about alert circles, right? Where you want to have some folks that will tell you the real deal, right? That will watch out for that danger coming from different ways, but will also tell you the real deal. And I hadn't really thought about it that much as to why he didn't get these positions until he asked me. He said, Kenny, I don't get it. I did this, I did this, I did this. What is it? I can't figure it out. And I'm like, I can't figure it out either. Let me have a few conversations and see what I can find out for you. I had a couple of conversations. And as it turned out, it was this person's reputation from a couple of years ago. And I'm not going to get into what it was about, but it was a couple of things that were long in this person's past. And the folks that interviewed him did not give him that feedback back. Hey, I've heard a couple of things. And I totally get that, because you're really not supposed to not hire somebody based on a reputation, right? And I'm sure they had other reasons why they didn't go with him, and I'm sure they had phenomenal candidates. In fact, I knew that. But when I said that, when I went back and I said, yeah, I've heard this. It's your reputation. We've got to be able to do something that starts to really turn the tide there. But it's going to take you going to your boss and asking them to start by really putting it out there that this person has gone out of their way to really change what their reputation was in the past. So it was a couple of lessons there. One of the lessons, and by the way, it turned out good for this person 6 months later, because there was a plan in place to kind of live down the reputation, to go out of their way. His boss started going out of his way to make sure that other folks around the company of jobs that he was trying to get made sure that they knew that stuff that happened was long in the past. We all make mistakes. We all sometimes can develop a reputation that might be good and we like it. We want it to stay like that. Or we could develop a reputation that's not so good. This person's always late. This person doesn't hold people accountable. I've been very candid that that was my reputation for a while, and it prevented me from getting landing roles. And that's okay. Part of that was true, but most of it wasn't. The other thing is that when you have a really good reputation, you can do something and lose it just like that. But when you have a bad reputation, it could sometimes take years, as was the case with this leader. It could take years to live down and to change that perception. So you got to head that off. You have to have conversations. You have to have people within your alert circle that's going to tell you the real deal. The best part is to never get a bad reputation, right? To try to do all the right things from the beginning. Our careers don't always work out that way. We all know that, right? But if you do gain that reputation, you've got to work hard, extra hard, to live it down, and you've got to be very strategic. I'm going to give you some questions to ask your friends, your family, and your coworkers, and these are from this website, Candid Culture, and this is a phenomenal article. If you go in and you type in reputation, you will come up with this article, which has a lot of great things. I'm just going to read you questions that are food for thought. It's about 10 of them or so. So one question is, what's the first impression that I make? Now, you've heard me say this before. I'm not a big first impressions person because I've been so fooled in my life, good and bad, where I meet someone and I'm like, ugh. And then, a couple of weeks later, I'm like, man, I love this person. And it's also happened in reverse for me as well, right? That I really love them at first and then something happens. But I think that first impressions are so important when it comes to interviewing and looking for that next position, right? So what's the first impression that I make? Ask people that. Ask your friends, family, your alert circle, your coworkers that. Hey, what do you think I'm like to work with? Ask people that. Especially, I'll challenge you here, ask people that's already worked with you. Have I exceeded your expectations in the past? That's a great question. Have I exceeded your expectations in the past? Have I disappointed you in the past? Oh, that's a hard one to ask, and that might be hard to hear some of the answers if this person has disappointed you in the past. But if you're part of that alert circle, you owe it to them to tell them the truth. Yeah, you know what? That time I was counting on you for this, you sort of let me down. It's way in my rearview mirror, but you asked the question. So have I disappointed you in the past? Here's some great questions that you can ask your manager. Okay, listen to these. What skills do I have that the organization values most? I love that. We all got them. We all got some skills. You wouldn't be watching this. You wouldn't have gotten as far as you got with the company if you didn't have some skills that T-Mobile really, really, really values. I love that. It's great to hear that. What contributions have I made that the organization values most? What have I done above and beyond, aside from just doing my job, that the organization has really looked at and valued? How about these now? What mistakes have I made that I need to recover from? Wow. That, my friends, is a tough one to ask, and it's a tough one to answer, and it'll be a tough one to hear the answers to that question. What mistakes have I made from which I need to recover? We all need to recover from those mistakes. And listen, we're all in the same playing field here. We've all made mistakes, right, that we need to recover from. Who in the organization should I have a good relationship with? Oh, love that. So I've been really advising this lately. Wherever you want to go, find someone, and we heard this from Katie Chamberlain, find someone that's already doing that role and saddle up with them. Ask them to be your mentor. Be very, very strategic and very, very particular about that. What departments should I work closely with? Again, same vein, where do you want to go? And who impacts my reputation and the opportunities that I have? Woo! That is the last question, and that is probably the best or one of the best. Let me repeat it. Who impacts my reputation and the opportunities that I have? There are influential people everywhere in your personal life, in your family life, and certainly here at work. So I say start with your manager, your immediate manager, because they should be able to have the biggest impact on what your reputation is. And we know that there can be leaders out there, nobody that's listening, right? That can have that negative impact. Don't hire little Pookie. Hey, but he's still working for you though. Yeah, I have no choice. I gotta keep him. Yeah, that's not a good thing. You want leaders that are gonna lift you up and have that positive impact on your reputation. You know why? Because those great leaders are gonna be the ones that will help you build a great reputation, that they will help you recover from those mistakes that you may have made in the past. And that's the key word there, right? They're in the past. They're not in the current. So I'm going to encourage you. We're going to wrap it up there. These are some great questions. Hopefully you jot those down. Just stop the video as I'm talking and write those down. But I'm going to encourage you, leaders, to ask the question, what's my reputation? What's it like? You don't want to be surprised. You don't want to go all in and try to get these jobs that the person that's interviewing you might say, I just don't know that they've lived that reputation down from a few years ago. I just don't know it. Their manager's not telling me anything. You see, here's the thing. We could have leaders that will proactively tell you the real deal month in and month out, but we could also have leaders that may not. For whatever reason. Could be just too busy, might not want to have those difficult conversations. It could be a lot of reasons. Take control and charge of your own career and of your own reputation. All right, leaders, lots more to come next week. Lots of stuff still going on. So I've got some leaders that are settling in that have promised me, though, that they will come on with me soon. And that is good. But pray that they come on. If they don't, I'm still here and I will still continue to drop that knowledge on you. I'm going to still inspire and encourage you to be great leaders. So for now, this is Kenny with another edition of the Yak with Mac. We will talk to you real soon.